We're going to start our final panel of the day. It's been a long and exciting day examining the implications of the Arab Spring on the region, on regional policies, and on U.S. policies in the region. Now we're going to examine what is arguably one of the most important aspects of this, and that is the need for economic reform and investment in the region. Moderating our fine panel today is Molly Williamson, an MEI scholar. She's a former Foreign Service officer who served 6 presidents, retiring with the rank of career minister. And I am going to hand the panel over to Molly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My appreciation and thanks to the Middle East Institute, to President Ambassador Wendy Chamberlain, Vice President Kate Seeley for the honor of being able to moderate this important panel. What we saw early on in the demonstrations, Tahrir Square, and you saw the students being interviewed on television, and they were calling for jobs, justice, and dignity. This panel is about the criticality of economic growth for the success of these transitions underway throughout the region. It will take time to narrow the skills gaps, to establish the necessary market reforms, to invite foreign investor confidence, but the demand for jobs, justice, and dignity is immediate. This piece has to be gotten right. If the calls are not addressed, not seen to be addressed, then this region faces increasing risks of rolling demonstrations, which in turn can be exploited by just another regime, followed by yet more regimes throughout the region. Well before the emergence of unrest in this region, the widely held economic analysis was that 8.5% annual GDP growth was necessary just to maintain existing levels of unemployment. 2 years ago, the region's labor force totaled some 135 million workers. It's expected that by 2020, that number will reach 185 million. That means that the countries in this region need to create 50 million jobs over the next 10 years, or 5 million a year, compared to pre-Arab Spring, pre-Arab awakening, pre-Arab unrest of creating 3 million jobs a year. Just to maintain existing levels of unemployment, 50 million new jobs over the next decade. These are overwhelmingly young societies, in some cases 60, in some cases 70% under the age of 30. The largest cohort is that group between 15 and 29, and they have the largest unemployment rates. To facilitate jobs growth, several key elements must be addressed. Labor market imbalances. We have serious skills gaps in the marketplace. This requires education and training reforms so that the training can be relevant to the needs of the marketplace. An overwhelming public sector that is oversized, not productive. There must be more foreign direct investment to grow private sector industries and jobs, and that requires reforms, structural and judicial, to encourage investment confidence. Over the years, privatization has come to be associated with crony capitalism and corruption. And that will mean resistance to some of the necessary reforms that must be undertaken. In the longer term, the oil-producing countries will need to diversify to create more skilled jobs and laborers for those jobs, employees throughout the region. but the immediate need will be to coordinate international programs to facilitate the achievement of these important and delicate transitions. This panel is critical, this panel is important, and we have expert panelists to discuss these critical issues. Begin with Dr. Odeh Aburdene, President of OAI Advisors, a man of long-standing expertise in Middle East business, energy arena particularly, and private equity. Dr. Adel Abdellatif, with extensive experience in the UN, particularly UNDP, following 2 decades in the Egyptian Foreign Ministry and having served as ambassador for Egypt. Followed by Dr. Iman Bibars, a vice president of Ashoka, the largest association of leading social entrepreneurs in the world, to talk about the importance of social entrepreneurial development. And finally, Ambassador Bill Taylor from the State Department, who has just assumed his duties as the Special Coordinator for the Office of Middle East Transitions. He is Mr. Transition. He's been working on transitions from the former Soviet Union. He's been doing transitions in Kabul, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and has headed operations at USIP on transition needs and the like. So we've got some terrific experts to talk about these issues, and I start with turning this over to Odeh.
After listening to Molly, I have to think twice about what I have to say because she knows her subject matter very well. But first, I want to make a comment. Over the past 7, 8 hours, I kept hearing the word Arab Spring, Arab Spring. Well, in places like Egypt, you don't have a spring. Secondly, the spring is a short season. And thirdly, if we go back, a Frenchman wrote a play in the 50s talking about the Arab Spring, and we have seen what happened to that Arab Spring over the last 30 years. I think we should really call it Arab discontent, Arab turbulence. And where will this change lead us to? As Molly said, the name of the game is jobs, jobs, jobs. If we go 25 years ahead, the Arab world may have to create 85 million jobs. But let's talk about first, why did we have this Arab discontent? And why did we have this Arab turbulence, which began in Tunisia and spread to Egypt, Libya, Yemen, Syria, and other countries? To me, it's a manifestation by young Arabs that say, we don't want to live in a state that's based on injustice and unfairness. That's what these young Arabs, men and women, are calling for. Robert Zoellick, the president of the World Bank, last April, gave a speech, and he asked, what do Arab men and women want? He said, they want opportunity, justice, a job. They want rules and laws that are fair, predictable, and transparent. They want food and shelter for their families, good schools for their children, and neighborhoods that are safe. They want police forces that are protectors, not predators. They want governments that can be trusted. They want voice, accountability, and they want it in villages, towns, and neighborhoods. He went on to say, they want also a new social contract. They want dignity. They want respect. But if they are women, they want these same things. The major challenges, and I want to talk really about the non-Arab oil exporting countries. I want to talk about Egypt, I want to talk about Tunisia, I want to talk about Jordan, but this field also covers Algeria, Yemen, and Morocco. Yemen is the most difficult case. It has a civil war that has produced nearly 1 million people with unemployment, with no income, with no salaries, in addition to the fact that it has scarce water resources, its petroleum assets are diminishing. But if we look at the labor picture first in the region, it is expected that the population of these countries, the Arab countries, which is 350 million today, will increase by 40% or 150 million people over the next 2 decades. If we look at the unemployment rate today for people from the age of 15 to 24, we find that 25 to 30% are suffering from unemployment. And in Egypt and Jordan, if you look at the numbers for women, you will find that the unemployment rate for women in Egypt and Jordan is close to 40%. The cost of this unemployment, lack of jobs, it has been estimated to be around $50 billion annually to the region.